For any help regarding probability assignment help, visit https://www.statisticsassignmenthelp.com. Email info@statisticsassignmenthelp.com or call us at +1 678 648 4277. At the end of the quiz period, you will turn in this quiz packet and 2 blue books. Question 1 will be answered in the quiz packet, while question 2 and 3 will be answered in their own respective blue books. Problem 1 is true/false, no partial credit is given. For problems 2 and 3, you should concisely indicate your reasoning and show all relevant work. Grades will be based on our judgment of your level of understanding as reflected by what you have written. Unless otherwise stated, you may give an answer in the form of an arithmetic expression. Problems: sums, products, ratios, factorials, of numbers that could be evaluated using a calculator. However, you should reduce expressions as much as possible to receive full credit. Solutions in class problem sets and past quizzes serve as examples. This is a closed BOK exam except for 2 double-sided, handwritten, 8.5 by 11 formula sheet. Calculators are allowed. Be neat. If we can't read it, we can't grade it. Statisticsassignmenthelp.com. Write your name, your recitation instructor's name, and TA's name on the cover of the quiz booklet and your 2 blue books. Problem 1. Each of the following statements is either true or false. There will be no partial credit given for the true/false questions, thus any explanations will not be graded. Please clearly indicate true or false in the below. Ambiguous marks will receive 0 credit. All parts have equal weight. A. X and Y are independent random variables. X is uniformly distributed on the interval -2, 2, while Y is uniformly distributed on the interval -1, 5. If Z equals X plus Y, then FZ, 3, equals 1/6. True/false. B. If X is a Gaussian random variable with 0 mean and variance equal to 1, then the density function of Z equals X is equal to 2fx Z, Z greater than or equal to 0. True/false. C. The sum of a random number of independent Gaussian random variables with 0 mean and unit variance results in a Gaussian random variable regardless of the distribution of n, the number of variables in the sum. True/false. D. If X and Y are independent random variables, both exponentially distributed with parameters λ1 and λ2 respectively, then the random variable Z equals min, X, Y is also exponentially distributed. True/false. E. Let the transform associated with a random variable X be statisticsassignmenthelp.com. Then E, X is equal to 30. True/false. The next set of questions are concerned with 2 independent random variables. Y is normal with mean 0 and variance 1, and X is uniform between 0, 1. Z equals X plus Y. F. The conditional density of Z given X, FZ, X, Z, X, is normal with mean X and variance 1. Statisticsassignmenthelp.com. Problem 2. Please write all work for problem 2 in your first blue book. No work recorded below will be graded. All parts have approximately the same weight. The continuous random variables X and Y have a joint PDF given by. In class we have shown the minimum least squares estimate of Y is given by E, Y, X equals X, A. Find the least squares estimate of Y given that X equals X for all possible values of X. For full credit, write the functional form, as opposed to a graph. Statisticsassignmenthelp.com. B. Let G, X, be the estimate from part A. Find E, G, X, and var, G, X. C. Find the mean square error E, Y minus G, X 2. Is it the same as E var, Y, X? D. Find var, Y. Problem 3. Please write all work for problem 3 in your second blue book. No work recorded below will be graded. All parts have approximately the same weight. Each year, a publisher sends Professor MD a random number of textbooks to review. The number of books Professor MD receives each year can be modeled as a Poisson random variable n, with mean. Each book contains a random number of typos, where the number of typos in one book can be modeled as a Poisson random variable with mean lambda. Let bi denote the number of typos in book I, assume n is independent of bi for all I, and bi is independent of bj for all I equals j. Professor MD is an expert in the field of typo identification, but even experts aren't perfect. Assume Professor MD finds any existing typo with probability p, and that this is independent of finding any other typos, and also independent of n and bi. The publisher offers Professor MD 2 different annual salary options for reviewing the textbooks. The two options are: Option 1, $1 for each typo found. Option 2, $1 for each book where at least one typo is found. StatisticsAssignmentHelp.com. Let X be the amount of money Professor MD receives for book I, and let TB be the total amount of money Professor MD receives in any given year. A. Find and correctly state the PMF of X under option 1. For full credit, reduce this expression to a well-known PMF. B. What's the name of this PMF? C. B. Find MT, S, under option 1. C. Find P, T equals 2, under option 1. D. D. Find ET, under option 1. E. Find var, T, under option 1. F. F. Find and correctly state the PMF of X under option 2. For full credit, reduce this expression to a well-known PMF. What's the name of this PMF? G. Find ET, under option 2. Hint: fully reduce your answer in F before attempting. StatisticsAssignmentHelp.com. Solutions. Problem 1. Each of the following statements is either true or false. There will be no partial credit given for the true-false questions, thus any explanations will not be graded. Please clearly indicate true or false in the below. Ambiguous marks will receive 0 credit. All parts have equal weight. A. X and Y are independent random variables. X is uniformly distributed on the interval -2, 2, while Y is uniformly distributed on the interval -1, 5. If Z equals X plus Y, then FZ, 3, equals 1/6. True. Since Z equals X plus Y and X, Y are independent, the PDF of Z, FZ, Z, can be obtained by convolving the PDFs of X, FX, X, and Y, FY, Y. That is. However, since we are interested in only FZ, 3, we need to evaluate the convolution integral at only one point, Z equals 3. The convolution sum and the corresponding figure are shown below. StatisticsAssignmentHelp.com. Figure 1, Fy, U is uniform between -1 and 5. Fx, Z minus U, is uniform between Z minus 2 and Z plus 2. B. If X is a Gaussian random variable with 0 mean and variance equal to 1, then the density function of Z equals X is equal to 2Fx Z, Z greater than or equal to 0. True here. Z is a derived random variable defined by Z equals X. We can obtain the PDF of Z using the standard technique of finding the CDF of Z, and then obtaining the PDF by differentiating the CDF. We have, for Z greater than or equal to 0, StatisticsAssignmentHelp.com. Taking derivatives. C. The sum of a random number of independent Gaussian random variables with 0 mean and unit variance results in a Gaussian random variable regardless of the distribution of n, the number of sums. False. This can be verified by taking the transform of the new random variable. If x1, x2, xn are IID Gaussian random variables, and n is also a random variable independent of the x's, then the transform of the sum y equals x1 plus x2. Xn is given by. This does not take the form ESE2 for all mn, s.